right. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? Happy Thursday, everyone who is listening. Hopefully, my sound's okay. I'm going to go ahead and do a mic check really, really quick. See how it sounds on YouTube. Give me a thumbs up if it sounds good. I just want to make sure we don't have any issues that we had last week. And we are good. Sounds great. Okay, cool. So, welcome back to the live stream. I can take off these headphones now. I was just listening to the YouTube live to make sure it sounded good. We are going to do a lab today. So hopefully, if you're here, you're going to be doing it alongside me, so you can ask some really good questions, and we can help you get job ready. The whole theme of this stream, the whole theme of my YouTube channel, is to bridge that gap between the Security Plus and getting that first job. So my goal is to give you stuff that's actually going to be useful in the real world, and I'm doing that with about 10 years of experience. I've run a SOC, a massive SOC. I've worked at major finance companies. I've worked at some of the biggest MSSPs in the United States. So I'm bringing you real information for those who are wondering what is going to help me move that needle. The stuff we're doing here is going to help you move that needle. Not only that, but actually doing it is going to help move that needle. So stop watching, start doing, and we'll get you to where you need to be before you know it. So, I guess a couple announcements starting out. If you haven't joined the Discord community, do it. What are you waiting for? Join the community. We have kicked off a free course on YouTube, so I'm releasing a handful of episodes a week. So I'm gonna commit to at least one. This week we've done two. I might get three in, but it's gonna be a full course that takes you from I know nothing to wow, I can confidently look at any type of alert that comes into a sim. And this whole course is going to be based around ELK or Elastic, which we will be covering today. So, this is kind of in preparation for that work. I think we have four videos so far in that playlist called what is it called? Zero to Sock Analyst is the name of the playlist. So four so far, two to help you set up your environment, and then two that just start explaining things. And there's going to be a lot more in the community. We have things prompt, so to start helping you start thinking through stuff. So there's one for each episode in there, neatly organized in a forum in one of the channels. So to get you start thinking about what you should be looking for when your hands are on keyboard. That's the whole theme, right? You need to know what you're actually looking for before you even touch that keyboard. So we're going to teach you those habits. We're going to get you straight. We're going to get you a job. Say hello in chat if you're just joining us. Hello, hello. I'm happy to have you here. Say hi. I'm new. If you're new here, Harem is back. Welcome back, dude. Welcome back. He is a regular here. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. All right. I think that's all the notes. Is there anything I'm missing? I don't think so. But yeah, actually, one last thing. If you have any ideas for videos, that is a really good place too. We've had a couple of awesome people in the community that have been giving me suggestions of videos to make that they think would be useful to the world and to themselves. So if you want to interact with me, right, someone that has that experience, someone that can create videos and knowledge for you to consume, and answer questions that you're just curious about in the real world. That's me. I don't think there's a lot of people out there who are creating content that are just saying, "Hey, ask me questions," uh, and that have the experience that I have. So here we are. Make sure to do it. Was that? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ask me for the content you need. Let me do a shout out. Who's been asking some really good questions this week? Let's see. We have pulling it up in my screen here. We got a bunch of really cool people going on. Henry's been super, super active. What's up, dude? We have ITSec has been super active, been doing some stuff. Of course, KSJ has actually had quite a bit of things he's asked for put in there. He's also been interacting with the questions and stuff as well. So hop in there. We'll give you a shout out if you're doing work, doing good stuff. And yeah. All right, let's get started. Enough of me talking here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Again, please follow along. I'll put the link to what we're doing in chat so that if you're not following along, you can. Let me adjust my screen real quick so we can all see it and it looks nice and pretty. All right, let me throw this in there. Look at this, beautiful. We are organized today, which is something to be said. Last week we had a good time on the stream, but we had audio issues. So whatever. Um, all right, so today, ELK, like I said, Elastic is the E in ELK. But this is a common sim. I know it's free, but there are a ton of organizations that actually use Elastic for stuff, use ELK for stuff. So don't sleep on it. It is a really good one. I know everyone's all caught up on Splunk. That is a good one. I've chosen ELK because it's free and easy for everyone to get to implement themselves. That's why we're doing it. I love it. It's free. We can do a lot of work with this with a lot less effort than with other things. So, what is a sim? I think we've been here enough, so we don't really need to talk about that. And as we go through this, we won't really be doing like I'm not going to read this thing to you, right? You're not kids. But I will talk and throw in my real world experience where it's appropriate, and we will kind of veer a little bit, ebb and flow as we go through this, so that I can explain a little bit of stuff in more detail, so I can explain the stuff in a little bit more detail for folks, and how you would do it in the real world. There are some things in here that aren't necessarily realistic, but it's pretty close. It's a pretty good one. Let's see. So I do need to get it going. So let's make sure I start my machine. So everyone start your machine. If you're following along, let's get it going. It usually takes a few minutes to start. It's got to do all of its things. We can check this off. And just so folks know, there are a handful of pieces to an ELK stack. So ELK stands for Elastic Logstash Kibana. Now, Logstash is right here. So this is how it processes data. Now in modern ELK stack implementations, we also have something called Beats. And Beats is the thing that takes it from your operating system and puts it into the SIM, right? So if you're wondering, how does this data actually get to the SIM? It's something like Beats. Splunk has something very similar as well, but it ships the logs off of the operating system to our SIM so that you can do what you need to do. Kibana is what you're interacting with on the front end. So when we say front end, we mean like the web application that you're doing all your searches in. That's the Kibana piece here. And then Elasticsearch is kind of how everything works in the background. It's like the engine that handles all the logs, does all the searches and everything, pretty much the heavy lifting for you, right? It's the what do they call it? The unsung hero of this sim, really. So those are the big components there for you. In the course, we'll dig in more of this so you kind of understand how all the pieces interact a little bit better. All right, so we can answer the questions here really quick, just so we're checking these off as we go. What is the name of the open source search engine library that Elastic is built on? So up here, this actually gives the answers, right? If you read through it, it's the Apache Lucene. So we can type that in. Apache Lucene, if I can spell it correctly. So something to kind of keep in mind with a lot of these are built on a bunch of separate pieces of technology and library. Lucene is one of those. Apache, most of you guys are probably familiar with Apache. And so this is just another component of it. So Apache is like your normal web server. Hiram's asking, do I have a Discord? Yeah, dude. You're not in Discord? I thought you were in there. Let me give that link to you real quick. I can't believe you're not in the Discord, man. What is wrong? What are you doing with your life? I'm grabbing the link because they got these goofy links. And there you go. So if you're not part of the Discord community, I should probably start dropping this every time I do a live stream. It's right there. Hop in there, join it, say hello. All right, back into the action. Which component of the Elastic Stack would you use to perform advanced filtering? So, really, really good question, right? Really, really good question. And if we look up here, we can find it pretty quickly. Log ingestion, tool library, logs, metrics. So, really good stuff there. Very easy. Log stash is the answer. And I'm just working through this quickly so we can get to the important stuff. I think you've gotten enough theory in your life. I want to get your hands on things so we can actually learn. All right, here is the big part. I'm going to just give you a brief overview of what this investigation is so that you're kind of prepared mentally as we go into it. You're thinking about where should I be looking? What should I be thinking about as I'm uncovering this attack chain? Because that's what this is. We're using ELK to unravel an attack chain in a network, which is exactly what you would be doing as a SOC analyst. So we're going to be doing that. Should probably put my headphones on so I can actually see how strong my mic is, because otherwise I can't tell if I'm too far away. All right. So we have a finance executive named Bill Smith. He received an email from an unknown sender containing a PDF file. So typical phishing, right? We've all heard of very similar circumstances. Still works. It's one of many techniques out there. At first glance, the email appeared legitimate, and he downloaded it and then opened it without any suspicion. After some time, Bill noticed his computer was acting abnormally, contacted IT, and he said that his system was slow and freezing up intermittently. Soon after, security alerts indicating suspicious network activity and unauthorized commands executed on Bill's workstation. So I would say this is very old school, like the slow and freezing intermittently. Unless they seriously jacked up their payload, you're probably not going to experience that. You're probably not going to experience anything if you accidentally did something. And that's the nature of the game, right? If you're good, people won't notice. And that's the whole point because you want to have enough time to do what you need to do as a bad guy. So you probably wouldn't experience that, but you may trigger security alerts in the SOC, which is where you're going to be working, that you have to investigate. So they're going to be your starting point for the investigation, and you're going to walk it backwards, walk the dog, whatever you want to call it, so that you can say, this is the order of things that occurred from when he downloaded the payload, executed it, all the way up to now, what happened. And that's your job. That's our job today. So here we are. We have an EDR alert. So for those of you who aren't tracking what EDR is, because you don't really have that in the home life world, it's basically an AV on steroids. And it provides a lot more telemetry than AV typically does, actually. So the alert says suspicious network activity and potential remote access were detected on a workstation. Here's the name with the specified time range of May 11th, 2023, 1845 to same day, May 11th to 1901. So a couple of pieces here we want to dissect. So this is pretty close to what you may get in a SOC where you have it and it tells you who, what, when, where, and why the alert fired. So we have the who earlier, Bill Smith. The what is server or Servidae Bob Fin 04. So that's the computer, the host name. When we have the time frame, so time is your most impactful filter in any sim. Regardless of the one you're in, time is going to help remove as many logs as possible so that you can focus on what matters. So that's what we have here. We have a really nice tight timeline. So about 16 minutes makes our lives quite a bit easier. Typically, it's spaced out quite a bit more. That's okay. We're just learning, so it's good to have a little bit of a smaller subset here. The other who, what was it? Who, what, when, where, and why. So the why is potential. So suspicious network activity, potential remote access. So whenever we're doing alerts in the SOC, we want to ask ourselves, okay, what logs will this behavior surface in? And why I say that, and what most people miss, is that there are specific logs for specific types of activity, and you can't really search all of them in one go. you got to kind of narrow the scope of what you want to look at for most things, right? So for instance, in a sim with both network and host-based telemetry, if we use the host name, that's not going to pop up in the network telemetry because that's all IP based. And if we do an IP, it will pop up in some of the host based telemetry, but not all of it. And then it will also show up in the network stuff. So we have to be very specific. And then not only that, some of the fields aren't in every one of them or aren't in every log. So, for instance, if we say um, potential remote access, so maybe we want to look at remote access tools like remote desktop, SSH, things like that, we may want to look for a process. Well, only specific logs actually have process names and file names in them for us to search. And that may not be network logs. So knowing what we want to look at first is a very important part of your job as a SOC analyst because it helps you focus. Doesn't mean you have to be right on the first go, but you should have options in your mind in a clear path that you want to investigate before you actually put your hands on keyboard. So in this case, we have two sets. We have network activity we need to look at, and then we also have remote access, which could be in both network activity and endpoint logs. So, got a couple of areas. So just start thinking about that. Start mulling over where are we going to go to get this data. All right, let's keep going. And again, folks, make sure you ask questions. I'm trying to fill in the blanks for you so we get your mind straight, right? If I can get you thinking like an analyst, you're already there, right? You're going to crush these interviews and you're going to crush it as soon as you walk in the door. So, I'm helping you make that transition mentally. But feel free to ask me questions, ask me anything that's on your mind. All right, let's move on to this next one here. So, we need to navigate to this IP here right now, and I probably need to restart it. I have a VPN connected, or I'm about to, and this is going to allow me to just go to it in my browser. This is where I was testing it earlier. I was making sure there weren't any hiccups I needed to figure out beforehand. But you can just paste the IP in here, and it'll take you straight to Elastic. And then we just utilize the information here to log in. Pretty straightforward so far. You can use the attack box if you want to. Totally up to you how you want to do it. I do it this way because one, I hate copying and pasting in and out of the attack box. Two, I'm just used to doing this and I like to have control over the space I work in. All right. So this is Elastic. If you've never seen it before, this is it. There are a lot of individual components in here. A lot of the time, we're going to be in what's called discovery, which is right here, discover analytics. And this is where we go to actually search through all of our logs. Let me give you a quick orientation and then we'll dive in and do what we need to do. So here on the left is the data view. It allows you to pretty much change what logs we're looking at. If we click in here, we have metrics, we have file beat, we have logs. And typically in an organization, they'll group types of logs together. So they may have all the EDR logs together, or maybe all the firewall logs in one, and they'll just group them in that way. And so you have to select the log source you want before you search. And what that does is it limits how much data Elastic is having to search through, which is a good thing, right? It speeds up stuff, it saves time. So this is just very important, right? You want to make sure you're looking in the right bucket. So think of them as buckets. This is buckets of data, buckets of logs that are of a every organization kind of organizes them slightly different. So that may change, but you will have different data views and different buckets in any organization you're in. It just works that way. The other thing we want to look at here, this is the filter. So this is where we can say, hey, I'm looking for this value in this field, or you can do keyword searches, whatever you want. But this is how we're going to filter the logs down. And you will definitely be doing it on the stream. Filter it down to what's important, what we really want to look at. And the one more, so I think we have two more. I just made that number up, but I think this one and this one. So hang in there. So over here is time. So this is what I was talking about when I say we want to narrow it down as best as possible early on. This is how we do it. We set a time range. So in this case, we're going to have a very specific absolute time frame that says I only want to see logs that are between these two times. And it's going to shrink our data and we'll see it go down from thousands to hundreds, I believe. Let's see. Someone's always blowing me up. Nope, it's just on Discord. Looks like someone joined the community. ADD moment. All right. So last one is popular fields over here on the left. So as we're looking through stuff, we will see the different field names, right? So we'll dig into that in a second, and I'll explain it when we get some logs in here, because it can be confusing without an example. So we'll look at this later, and it's going to be a game changer if you've never used it. All right, since we're here, now we need to do some modifications to get our life straight. So first, we need to change our time zone. For this lab, this is very important because if we don't change our time zone, we won't be able to see the logs we need to see, um, which which will get you in trouble. For global socks that like I've worked in, you have like time is a huge thing, right? If you're pulling data from an endpoint directly, it might be in the same time zone of that system locally, but you may be, who knows, right? You may be in Europe, you may be on the East Coast. The key is to always get everything in the same time zone. So you and I, if we're in two different locations in the world, we're speaking the same language. So some people will use UTC or Zulu, something like that. So we're all speaking the same language when we're building out the attack narrative. So let's go ahead and change our time zone so we are working in the same one that this lab is talking through, because it's very important for the first question, actually. So let's go ahead and do it. We're looking for, what is it? Europe, where is it? Europe, London is what we're looking for. And it's in there. It tells you, I'll show you one more time in a second once I select it. So Europe, London. And then we just want to save changes. Perfect. And so right here, it gives you this link. Just copy and paste it. Go to it. You'll get that same screen I'm at. And then just select Europe, London is what we're looking for here. And save it. You're good to go. So we'll reload this page so it applies it. And then we'll get to work on the first question, which we've all been waiting patiently for. Thank you, folks. If you're just joining us, say hello in chat. Make sure to ask any questions. All right. So we need to set the time frame to May 11th, 2023. Very important. If you set it to May 11th of last year, you're not going to find what we're looking for or any other year. It needs to be May 11th, 2023. 8:45 is our starting time. So over here, we go to absolute and we need to go 2023, May 11th. What is it? 1845. So I'm going to select this and then we'll modify it down here. They kind of help you out with that half-hour increments here, but we need a 45. So we'll just select it, hit OK. Perfect. And what I'm going to show you real quick is we're going to run this. It's to now, and I'm just want to show you how many logs we get. So right now we have about 920. And that may be all the logs, it may not be. But let's go ahead and set it to May 11, 2023. We'll see if it trims it down any. And then we need to adjust our time to 1901. So we'll do 1900. Then we'll change the one here. So hopefully everyone sees how I'm doing this. It's pretty straightforward. We just go in here, absolute. You want to be absolute. This is saying I want this specific time frame. Relative is like saying plus 5 hours or whatever like that. But in this case, we want to be very, very precise. Then we'll hit go. And Let's see if it works. There we go. So I did a star here. It wasn't working without it. Splunk does that actually. I'm not. So what is this saying? Go away. Go away. So we have 920. So it did have all the logs in there, which is cool. But typically, like in a real organization, you're getting probably millions of logs every minute in most organizations. Because you have to think about this is probably one system in organizations I've worked at. We're talking about tens of thousands of computers, servers, etc. So lots and lots of logs. So time in that case is very important. Time here in a lab, maybe not so much, but in the real world, yes, make sure you do your time. All right, let's see if this works without that. It may or may not. Oh, it worked that time. Huh, interesting. Okay, cool. So the first question is update the filter. How many total hits were captured within the selected time period? So right here, this is so documents is logs. How many logs do we have? 920 logs. Now imagine sitting here scrolling through 920 logs looking for bad. Let's do that for a second. Do we see bad yet? Anyone? Has anyone seen bad? It's pretty rough. That's why we use filters in this world, folks, because otherwise it's pretty bad. What I'm going to do, so just to point out, you can filter. So if we wanted to, we could click and drag this and shrink our logs down to that time period. We're going to use our other filters for that. So I'm going to get this out of the way just so you folks can see more. Maybe. I don't know what happened to all my logs. Let's see if I can get them back. I don't know what's going on here. It's going to work. All right. So you have 920 logs. I don't know what's going. There we go. They're back now. Okay, weird. Let's see. Okay. Web application issues. What are you going to do, folks? All right. So let's do the next. Let's put in our answer here, and then we'll move on to the next one. Look at that. Winning. All right. So this is the section about fields that I want to take a pause and we're going to talk about. So look at the top values under destination IPs, which IP stands out. So this question is talking about command and control. So this is a very common word. Maybe you may not have heard it. I don't know if it's in the Security Plus or the other entry level ones, but command and control basically means if I take over a computer and I have it start talking to an external system where I can give it commands, that's called command and control. A really good example would be botnets. So botnets have a command and control, so like a central place where all of the bots talk to. That's command and control, where it could have thousands or millions of hosts talking to it. That is command and control. And what that means is that it's talking externally. So it is an external device somewhere on the internet, which means it is a public IP, not a private IP. So this is where that little bit of a networking comes into play, where we need to know the difference. So let's go in here, let's go find this field and see if we can tell the difference between public and private IPs here. So let's do that first, and then I'll describe what we're looking at here. So here's our destination IPs, and we have a list here. We see loopback, we see a private IP, public IP. You see that? That doesn't look like a public IP. Remember back to your introductory course or certification on IP address spacing or IP addressing. This would be a suspicious external IP for sure. So this will be our next answer. It is one of the top values. That is not a private IP. Now let's take a pause real quick. Let's talk about what we did here. So over on the left are fields. You say, Mike, what the heck is a field? What are you talking about? So if you click into these, and it's super zoomed in. I know I don't have a lot of real estate here to show stuff. I'm trying to make it so people can see on their phones wherever they are. So just bear with me. Fields. So when we look at a log, and my most recent video this week talks about the four major parts, so the framework of a log. We have fields in there, and the fields tell us information. And these fields are taken out by the sim to organize what we're looking at and make it easier to view. So things like what's the destination domain? This may appear in a log, destination IP, destination port. And depending on the log, the fields will be different. So this is what I was talking about early on, where network logs are different from host-based logs. Very different. So that is a thing, right? And we're also going to use these fields to search on, and you'll see that in a little bit where we're actually searching up here on specific values in these fields. So one of the things you have to get used to if you're looking to move in the SOC is understand the major types of logs out there. So firewall logs, sysmon logs, Windows authentication logs. Those are probably the most common ones out there. And you need to understand what types of information are in there that you can search on when you're doing an investigation like we're doing today. So you'll be able to get to see a few of them, and hopefully it'll start helping get those juices flowing. And one more thing to point out here, the fields in this sim right here are not the same fields in another sim. They're not the same fields from company to company. Each organization will have different fields, even if it's the same log. And that's simply because they may choose to name the fields differently, right? That's part of their design, infrastructure, architecture, design choice. Okay. So don't get hung up on the actual field name in the sim, but understand what information is in. This is the raw log that's in here, and we can see stuff like process PID, um, user information. So just understand what the general term is for that field and keep that in mind. So like user, right? That's pretty common. Um, IP, port. Understand the basic comments or basic field names, and then that'll translate from sim to sim. We got AJ in chat today. What's up, brother? He's gonna bust my balls tonight. That's what he's gonna do. What's up, dude? So just something to keep in mind. Don't get hung up on the field names. Just understand what data is in the fields. And you'll be okay. You will be fine. All right. So we need to use an IP address lookup tool for this IP so you can see what country it originates from. So I encourage everyone to start documenting what tools you love to use. Virus Total is one of those tools. Very common for lookups and all that. So LV, does anyone know what LV is short for? I bet AJ does. But we can look down in here and we can get it as Latvia. Isn't that where Dr. Doom is from, or is that a different place? I don't know. I might be making stuff up there. So we'll just paste that in here and we'll get that one. So for those of you who don't know, you probably see me probably put up virus total just about every time we do a live lab. Uh, you can look up hashes for files. You can look up file names. You can look up domains, your full URLs, IPs, and get information about them to help you in your investigation. So it's a really an intelligence platform of sorts. All right. So next question: which process name is running the most frequently on the compromised workstation? So this is one of the ones where we need to start thinking about field names that we need to filter on to get that information. Yep, you were wrong, AJ. AJ said he thought it was Lithuania. I thought you might know, man, because you do some traveling. So this is where we want to start thinking about different things. So one, depending on how many hosts are in here, I don't remember how many hosts are in these logs. If there's more than one, which there will be in most organizations, we definitely need to filter on workstation name. or host name. And then there should be field with process name somewhere in there that we can filter on as well. So let's take a peek. Let's first look to see if there are a ton of host names or workstation names. We can start with workstation, which is what maybe one of you may do, because maybe host name isn't familiar and we may strike out. So we can look up host name, which is probably the more general term. So we only have one in here, which represents 100% of the record. So we don't have to filter on it, but we can. And it'll just, if we click the plus sign, it'll add it right here. We shouldn't see a drop in the number of logs once it's done working. And as we see, it did not. Now, the next thing we want to do is we need to know what the process name is. So right here, we're saying which process name is running the most frequently. So we need to find one with process name in it. And it's process.name. See how it's different? It's process.name, all lowercase. And this just says process space name. So they're going to look similar, and they're going to look similar in most organizations, but they may not be exact. And as you get comfortable in your organization, you will start picking up on the field names and understanding what types of logs you have. All that comes in time. So don't be worried as you start, learning and understanding this stuff. All right, the process name with the most is pretty obvious here. Curl.exe, which makes up about 24% of the process names here. So curl.exe is our answer. .exe. And AJ brings up this is why data normalization is so important. Very true. Very, very true. Tell us what data normalization is since you brought it up. And AJ is going to hang out with us the next time I have a guest on the show. AJ is going to pop on and do something. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to think about it and tell me what he wants to cover. Hopefully, something about detections, maybe. Maybe I can get him to do some of that. All right, so let's go over to sort and filtering. So, one of the things that we have at our disposal is the ability to sort by things like timestamp. Typically, that's about, I'm not going to say that's the only thing we're going to sort by. Sometimes we'll sort by letters of the alphabet or IP addresses or something like that. But timestamp is probably one of the important ones, right? As analysts, we think about things in chronological order, meaning think about them in the space of time, right? So, in what order do things happen? And that allows us to do a couple of things. When we're thinking about an attack narrative, things have to happen in a certain order, right? We can't escalate privileges without first having initial access. We can't exfil data from a system without first controlling that system. So things have to happen in order. With that in mind, that allows us to better get in the minds of the attackers and be able to predict what they may or may not have done, which is going to save us time during the investigation. He is saying, AJ saying, show them how to find it in the search bar with the top or whatever. We're going to do some filtering in a second. Give me a second. Hang on there, buddy. Hold on to your britches. So filtering is the next thing. So what we can do is we're looking for what process ID of the potentially malicious, what is the process ID, the PID. So you'll hear PID or process ID or parent PID or parent process ID, pretty common when we're talking about host logs here. So a couple of pieces here we need to tear apart. We're looking for a process ID. There aren't very many logs with that in it. And we're looking for PowerShell scripts. We have a couple of options there. So when I think PowerShell script, I think PowerShell script block logging. So 4104, 4103. But commands could show up in event ones, which are sysmon, and event 4688s, which are Windows events. So we're looking for a potentially malicious script. So let's do some filtering here. So in here, one of the logs we may want to see is event code. So event code is when I'm saying 1 or 40, and we're going to do the filtering that AJ was talking about here. We could say 4104. These are PowerShell logs. So we should see some suspicious PowerShell logs in here, maybe, or 41 or ones. So let's take a pause. Let's look at this. Do we see anything malicious? No, we see a bunch of junk that we don't really understand yet. So if you want to dig into a log, you click this bad boy right here. It opens it up in table view. So I just went back to table view because it was stuck on JSON where I did it earlier. And we can scroll through and look for a field that actually has the data in it for these. So that is this one here. So if we take it right here, so if we hover over the field name, we can add it to a column pretty easy. We just click this. See where it says toggle column and table? We click that, and now we don't have to look into each one of these. Isn't that pretty cool? So that's a good time. So now we can look through these pretty easy, and we can do it for a lot of these other ones there. So with these, I believe we have event codes. So the question was, which one ran, what is the PID of the potentially malicious PowerShell script? So this is very likely the malicious PowerShell script. So looking at this, you should see PowerShell obfuscation. I see some AMSI, some AMZ bypassing here. So it's malicious. They're intentionally obfuscating this and trying to get away with stuff. So this is indeed our PowerShell script. So now what we need to do is find the process ID. Yes, it's not in this field, but we can quickly identify it as malicious, then go back into here and look up PID and see what it says. So we have 6616, but I don't believe that is correct. Let's see, process thread ID. So actually do not think this is the correct one. This is malicious though, indeed, but it's looking for a very specific one. Let's see. Let's see if we can find it, folks. So this is the one it's actually looking for here. So there are multiple here. I found this earlier when I did a brief run through it. So there are multiple PowerShell scripts. But this is the bad one they're looking for. So 6712. We should see some other information here about like the script actually running. So let's see if it has it here. So this is where the script's executing here. So this is the one. So PS1 and PID here. So 6712, that is our answer. Let's see. Yep, he said masquerading with a double extension. Absolutely. That's what all the cool people are doing these days. All right, so we'll check that. That is correct. What was the process name of the process that spawned PowerShell? So here's the issue with these. So this may be where the script's running, but we don't have a process name in here. And we actually have to go look at other logs to find that. So what we can do is that we can move to a log that I know of in my mind of where that may be. And so I know it's event code ones because those are process creation logs. We're looking for a process. Makes total sense, right? And we're also looking for a parent. We're looking for the PID. So process PID. I was just getting the thing in there. So process dot PID of this. So this is the process ID of the PowerShell script executing, and we want to know what the parent process is. So if we go to a process creation log and we look for where this has the process ID of that script, and we look at the parent process, we should find the one we're looking for. Yep, it is the PDF one, bud. And so this should work. I may have to put an and in here. It doesn't like something. Process.pid and there we go. And so here we have a process creation log, like I mentioned, and we're looking for our PID. So we can see our PID here. And then we also have our parent PID. See how they're different? So that's the important part. So now what we need is the parent command line or parent file name. I'm not sure what the field will be, but here it is, process parent. So process.parent, it has explorer.exe. We also have parent process.parent.ex.executable. So this is the program that ran our PowerShell script. So this is what we call process hierarchy, process trees. Definitely a really good topic for those just starting out and learning. You got to understand how processes work. Got to. You're not going to be able to make it as a SOC analyst without understanding that. That is a need to know, folks. All right, so let's copy this and move it on over here, and we'll keep chugging along. Easy peasy. All right, indicators of compromise. So this is a fun word, IOC, right? You'll hear that a lot in our space. And it just means techniques or things that they do that indicate that this thing was compromised, just like the name, right? So in this case, we're looking for WinPs and then we're looking for registry modification. So let's start with WinPs and let's read the question and then think about what log we're going to dig into to be able to find this information. So what is the domain name of the attacker server hosting WinPs executable? So if we didn't have all this information above, we would be thinking of ways of how could they pull this down. There are more ways than using PowerShell, but you can definitely do PowerShell. You can use curl. You can use certutil. There's a bunch of tools to pull files down. So in this case, we're looking for WinPs potentially. I think this is the actual command we're looking for. So we're looking for this. And so we can just do a keyword search and see if we can't find this. So again, it's going to be event code 1. And we also want to do a command line. So process command line. And I'm going to do it like this. And what this is going to say is give me anything that has WinPs in the command line. And it's going to help us out. So what I'm also going to do is we're going to update what we're looking at here. I'm going to get rid of this and we're going to replace it with the command line column because we're cool like that. Because this is actually what we care about is the process command line right here. So we're going to add this up and now we can see what we're doing. So this is what we're looking for here. And it's asking, what does it say? What is the domain name of the attacker's server hosting WinPs? And the answer is Evil Parrot. So this is the domain name. Easy. All right, next one is, what is the full path of the HKey local machine registry entry that was queried? Now, when we're thinking about logs, we need to think about where would it surface that someone queries the registry for information. So process creation for sure, PowerShell for sure. So let's start with process creation. So the same ones we're currently in. So sysmon event code 1. And we're looking for, if we're thinking about what keyword could we hone in on to look for this activity, and the command and the utilities that one would use would be reg query, reg. And if we look at that, we can identify all the activities that are coming back with reg in them and see if there's anything suspect to us. So we got quite a bit out back here. So so pretty much anything, like if you opened up a command line, so cmd.exe, and you type a command in here, that's what's showing up here in the command line. For those of you who aren't tracking, that is the information that pops up in the command line. And so thinking about that, it is a very, very powerful field. And this is a very, very powerful log. I am not moving through this as fast as I thought I would. I also have one resume I need to do tonight. So we're going to keep chugging through this. I will get it all done tonight. We just won't finish on time. Hopefully, everyone's okay with that. Let's go back to the question. What's the full path of the HKey local machine registry entry that was queried? So we're looking for a query. So what we're looking for, so add is not a query. This is a query. This is a query. So this was queried, but this isn't the answer. It is this one. This is the one that it's actually looking for. And this is just like one of those ones that just isn't clear, but we can see it queried. What is the value that's stored in here? So it's going to be a 1 or a 0. And if you are fired. If this is a good case for you to start asking questions to as a SOC analyst. If you're not asking yourself, why are they querying this registry? You're not doing what you need to do. Because this should be like, well, why are they doing this? Why is this a bad thing? And for those of you who don't know, this is a way, if this current local machine and current user, so both of these, if both of these are true, it provides a privilege escalation technique, which we'll see, where any user can run an MSI file as NC authority system or local administrator. So it's a very, very powerful thing. And this is why I also suggest most people, after you get that SOC basics in, so you do like the SOC level 1 course in TryHackMe, go do an entry level pen testing course. That is going to help fill in a lot of these blanks of what type of attacks are out there. So definitely worth doing there. And I have a link for you actually. So I'll put this in chat so folks can check it out. Here it is. So if you want to read about that privilege escalation technique, you can do it here. So go check it out. And my answer was incorrect. What was it? HKey local machine. That's why. I did the wrong one. It was supposed to be this one. Whoopsies. There we go. This is one of those finicky things, right? Got to do it right. They did 2 queries, but they want one of the 3. Or they did 3 queries, but they only want 1. All right. So the next question is, what is the name of the malicious MSI file? So what we could do is we could do a hash of this MSI file. And we could put that hash in VirusTotal in the real world. We can see it says admin shell. That is by far a very unusual name. So we can say that this is indeed that malicious file. But you could definitely get the hash of it in certain circumstances. We wouldn't be able to get it from this log because it would be giving us the reg query or the reg utility hash, because that's what's actually running. But if we have file rise or EDR telemetry, we could probably get this hash. There's probably a few other logs with it, but I don't know that we would get it in this scenario. Of course, if we had access to the EDR, we could also pull the file, which you should be doing as part of your forensics, is pulling any suspicious files. And those are your IOCs, and you would be checking every other system for these same IOCs out there. So that is real world stuff for you. All right. So next one is scrolling down, scrolling down. What is the name of the user account that the attacker created to maintain privileged access? So again, we need to think about what logs would this be in. We have a couple. So we're already in process creation logs. It could be in there. And the utility that they may use is net. So net user. So we can go look for that, which we will. This could also be a PowerShell command. It still could end up in event code ones, or it could be in the 4104. So let's look up net. We'll do that up here. So we have a pretty solid query here. We're just switching out stuff and looking at things. Um, super, super easy. And what we're looking for is the name of the user account, and that is backdoor. So they are adding this user to the local administrators, which gives them lots and lots of power. And the password never expires, so they don't ever have to worry about it. So they have a really good means of persistence. That is what that is called, persistence. All right, what is the flag sent in the curl request to evil parrot.thm? So now we're looking for curls. So again, we just swap this one out. We just say, hey, give me all the curls. And here we go. Here's our answer. So as you can see, it's pretty powerful to do just keyword searching, using wildcards, knowing what log we need to be in. It really, really helps in the real world and in this particular lab. Now we need to go back to the registry and look for what is the name of the registry value that the attacker added. So this would be not a reg query, right? But it still would be reg somewhere in the name. That is the utility. So we'll look at that. And what we're looking for is reg add. So this is the name, backdoor shell. And then they added this in there. So that's a really fun one. And current version runs. So this is going to run. Um, I believe this runs when the system starts up. If I remember correctly, it's after a long, long day, folks. Feel free to look that up and tell me in chat. AJ, you're in here. Current or run, that just runs at startup. There's also another one called run once, which runs once. All right, so now we're looking for lateral movement. So we're kind of climbing the kill chain here, or the MITRE attack flow. The next question is, what was the password that the attacker used to access Bill's user account on the internal payroll website? All right, so here we need to think about what type of logs we need to look in. So if they did a curl from the command line, we can look for curl. If we own this website and we're getting the web application logs, we can actually look at those logs directly as well. Seeing how it was done from the system, let's look for curl. Maybe it could have been done with PowerShell as well. But let's see if we can figure out if it was done on this host, and we'll see if we can find it the easy way first. So we're looking for curl, and we're looking for them interacting with an internal website, and we do right here. Another thing we could have used, if they may have not used curl, we could have just simply looked for HTTP, if I spell it right, just something that was in the command line, and we could find it that way as well. But we are looking for the password of the user, and that is right here. Make sure to get this exclamation mark because that is indeed part of the password. For those of you who haven't looked at parameters in a URL, this ampersand here separates the different parameters. So each one of these are parameters. That's a parameter. This is a parameter. Submits a parameter. So that's how we can tell. I was just telling you that so you know why that exclamation mark wasn't just some funky character in there. It is a legitimate part of the password, right? We all know password 123 exclamation mark. Hopefully, none of you are utilizing that password, or AJ will guess it and make fun of you. And AJ is suggesting using GUIDs or GUIs. You must mean GUIDs. GUIDs. And So GUIDs is another way to represent PIDs as well. Is that what you're talking about, or do you have another route you're going down there, AJ? You should just hop in here and talk. I don't know why you're just hanging out here. You can hop on anytime, AJ. So we have a flag in here as well. So we are looking for what flag was included within the HTTP request during the attacker's successful login. So we're looking for a successful login where there is a flag, and this is it right here. We had already submitted this other flag. That's why we didn't use that one. So it said specifically in those requests. So no GUI, so less log since there's no command line. Silly goose. How? You just go to the same link you always use. That's how you can log on. I can send you an invite. Let me invite somebody in here. Let's see. Let me see if I can remember how to do it. Invite via link. Copy link. All right, I'm gonna send it to you on Signal, man. Because that is the easiest thing I have access to. Oh, his safety number changed. What a noob. Just kidding. All right, so there we go. I sent that to you. So if you want to hop on, go for it. If not, you can keep sitting back and chillaxing. All right, so what is the session cookie value? So if I remember correctly, all these questions are right in this thing. So session cookie value. This is another case too where learning web attacks is a really good thing for you to do if you're looking at doing SOC work. Portswigger has a really good web attack course, lots of tutorials, lots of videos that you can follow along and learn some basics of things like SQLI, cross-site scripting, things like that. So really important stuff for you to understand. Definitely recommend it. I'm always a big fan when you can get free training. Do it. Why not? Especially if it's really good quality, which they have. All right, so this is the session ID. So this is a session ID. So PHP session ID. This is what we call a header in it. And this is kind of what's being used so that when you're interacting with a website, it knows who you are, right? Because it's not stateful, right? HTTP is not a stateful protocol. So it needs something to help it out. Did I mess it up? What did I mess up here? Let's see. Oh, I think I grabbed the wrong one. Let's just say, what is the session cookie value we need after he logs in, perhaps? Let's see. PHP. Ah, here it is. It's another one where they have a couple of different ones. So same type of log, just different value. So nothing to really tell the difference apart. Same difference. You just got to put the right one in there. What is the name of the sensitive file that the attacker downloaded? So what we're looking at here is for a sensitive file. This .php file is what they're interacting with. So that's not it. That's not it. So we're looking for like actual file download. And we don't see it there. Here it is. It's right above the one we were looking at. Silly. So we can see that they curled this and taco means output. So they are writing this to B. Smith's desktop. Bank details. Bank details.csv. Lovely. They stole some bank information. Let's see. AJ's texting me. Yes, AJ, it's delayed. There's always a slight delay. I wish there wasn't, but there's always a slight delay. What is the name of the sensitive file? That's what we just found. Boom. Yeah, AJ, you should hop on because we're about to do a resume roast, bro. All right, so that is that last example there. And we are done. One of the things I encourage you to practice, right? If you're doing this, and we're about to do resume roast, folks, so stay in there. I just want to provide an additional. I don't even see you popping up, bro. Let me see. Ah, I see. Let me see. Let in. There he is. AJ, can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
Oh, there he is. Look at this guy. Such a cool guy.
Oh, shucks.
Such a cool guy. Um, yeah, so you're just in time to do a resume roast, dude.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Did you
heck yeah.
finish the lap?
Just about. So I'm wrapping it up. I'm providing some additional advice, and feel free to add to it. This is actually a really good one where there's a lot of details about what the attack chain is. I definitely encourage folks who finish answering the questions, make your own attack chain. List chronologically what steps occurred and get used to thinking about stuff on like in time, right? In chronological order. Definitely encourage people to do that. He drops as soon as I say that, but um, yeah, I definitely encourage you to take it and put it, say, put the date and timestamps of these are the things happening. I got to let him back in. There he is. Um, but put them in order of what happening and get used to understanding things have to happen in a certain order and understanding the flow of the attack. That's like the hardest thing I think for new people is understanding that attack flow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's also important because you don't know at what point in the attack path or kill chain or whatever model you want to use, your detections will trigger and alert you to the activity. So if you know the flow of it, you can work backwards or forwards.
Yeah, exactly. Usually it's somewhere in the middle is where you catch them, and you got to work both ends of it to finish wrapping it up. Let me do another sound check real quick. I'm gonna have you talk, and I'm gonna just see if it sounds goofy. I had some issues last week with Sean. I was like, man, so sad. Talk to me,
Um,
man.
I'm walking on my phone too, so I'm going up to my computer, going up to the dungeon.
Oh, good. It actually sounds great. I must have fixed the issue.
Nice.
Yes, just in time for our podcast. Yes, for those of you who don't know, this is AJ, my podcast co-host, where we film a podcast sometimes. But no,
Sorry.
it's C-Suite Cyber. AJ has been super busy, so we're talking. We're trying to figure out what the next one's going to be. He just got back from a trip, just got a new job. Busy man.
Yeah,
While
just got
you,
out of a meeting.
oh, did you? Jeez,
Yeah, at 6.
busy
Got
as
to push
heck.
some code, man. Got to make a PR real quick.
He sounds so professional, doesn't he? Just the PR. Yeah, just get another PR. I'll go ahead and get this up while you're getting up to your dungeon. Um, yeah, so while he's getting straight, just to tell this to folks who are just joining us, maybe. So if you want me to review your resume, what we do is we put it up on the stream. I know, brutal. But what it does is allows me to spend a lot of time that I normally wouldn't have. So it's a little bit more efficient for me, but it's also very good for other folks because many of you actually have the same problems that I've seen in resumes. So it provides an opportunity for other people to learn from your mistakes, which is what being a community is all about. And sometimes I get really cool people on here like AJ, who is also a professional with many years of experience who can also give you their feedback. Ain't that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you can't get mad at the feedback.
Yeah. Don't get mad at the feedback. Don't shoot the messengers. Can you see the screen? Or are we waiting on you to hop on a real computer?
Yeah, I can see it, but I'm hopping on my computer. So let me.
Yeah, we'll give you a second. I'll burn some time while we're talking about it. Um, yeah. So definitely go back through this, watch the video again, and work through this lab. Definitely encourage you. And after you finish the lab, make sure you go through and see if you can detail all the things the attacker did, because we didn't get to all of them. He did a lot more, or she did a lot more in there. So make sure you're detailing all of that. And it will, the more that you do, the more reps you get in doing this type of stuff, the better you're going to be, getting that foot in the door, getting that first sock roll. And I would say probably the biggest issue that I have with new people in a sock is getting them to start thinking about an analyst, getting them to think about that the attack is a series of things across the timeline, getting them to think in that way. But once they make that jump, very easy, much easier. Um, yeah, what else? Oh, next week I can talk about what I'm doing next week. I have to look it up because I don't even know. I think next week is our analyst makeover session, I believe. Have you heard about those, AJ?
I have not. What is an analyst makeover session?
That I'm glad you asked, man. You're doing a really good job here being a co-host.
Man.
So our analyst makeover session, and I have, for those of you, I'll go ahead and put the link in chat so you can apply. But if you're an aspiring analyst and you're kind of been not really fumbling around, but kind of stuck, like you just can't seem to get any interviews, or you can't seem to get through the interview process and get an offer, this is for you. We do this, I do this to make sure I can be there for you and see if we can't figure out together what's getting in the way of you getting that dream job. How about that? That's what it is. So, so we have one submission so far. So that's going to be the person next week if I can get them in alignment. So I'll reach out to who do we have? Who do we have that's going to get it? Ben is a Ben, not the or Bruno. So Bruno, it's you. So announcement, Bruno, you're up next week. I'll reach out and see if we can't coordinate. But yeah, we can do resume stuff. We can work on your portfolio. We can fill in some skill gaps. We can work on interviewing techniques. Literally, whatever you need to get to the point where you're getting interviews and you're getting offers. That's what we're going to do on the makeover session. So apply. If that sounds like you, apply. I really encourage it. This is free. You just have to hop on here so that we can talk and interact. You just have to have a good microphone. You don't even have to be on camera. I just need to be able to talk to you and be willing to share a sanitized resume. And yeah, we can get you straight. Oof, we got an echo. There we go.
My bad.
Dang, bro, you look like you just got from the gym.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting to come on camera, but here we are.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Cool. This is AJ. Cool guy. He's supposed to be on here in a couple of weeks on our next guest session, or 3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks.
News to me.
Yeah, you said it last time in Discord. You're like, he never gets me on, so you get to come on if you're free. You can hop on. But yeah, I'm doing like a rotation now. I don't know if you know this. So we'll do a lab 1 week, then we'll do a SOC analyst makeover 1 week. We'll do a guest session where someone comes on and we actually do like not just talking, it's sharing, talking through stuff like actual live stuff. I think that's a little bit more powerful than just people talking. Then we do a mystery session. So a mystery lab where people vote on what they want me to do. And we do that. So give it a little dynamic, switching things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into this resume. Can you see it pretty good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Sweet. Okay. So let's check this person out. So this person is looking at doing a SOC role. So this is a SOC analyst 1. So we have another veteran. What's up, fellow vet? Go ahead. What do you think about this professional summary?
Off the top, I mean, I probably wouldn't say JAG certifications. Yeah, I would move the tools to a different area to start off of. Remove Jayak. It says focused on. I would change that to probably like things that you lead or your experience. Those are my three big takeaways. What about you?
Yeah. So also want to point out, folks, this is where it comes in handy getting different people's opinion because we're going to look at stuff slightly different. We favor certain things versus other. Our portfolios look completely different. Our resumes look completely different for the most part. So, take our opinions and take anyone's opinions, take out of it what you want and apply it. So that's what I want to say up front. For me personally, I don't mind them saying the GX, especially if they're brand new. If that's like the lean they're leaning on, saying, "Hey, look, I have certifications. I don't have experience, but I got some really expensive certifications." I don't mind it. In terms of the tools, I would say it depends. What's in the job listing? If the job listing is specifically calling out these tools, sure, go for it. Because this is the eye catcher. You want to catch their eye and get them to read the rest of it. So, in that context, I wouldn't mind. But AJ is correct. You do have a lot of tools at the bottom, which is kind of where you do your keywords stuffing there into the skill session. So, it just depends. I would only include the tools at the top if they were in the job listing, though. That's the only time I would do it. Skills. I think we can skip the skills section. I would say just focus it on what's in the job listing. Pretty much every resume that I've seen feels like it's spread all over the place. This one's a little bit tighter, but you want the skills to reflect what's in the job listing. That's what you're doing here because the ATS systems are matching you to the job listing. So if you're missing out on specific keywords, you won't get asked to interview. So good thing to do. We don't need to dissect them though, because we don't have a job listing to compare them to. Unless you have something else you want to say about them.
No, we're good. I was noticing something else.
All right. What did you notice? What else?
The relevant certifications. So I don't know this person, right? If you have all of those, like it looks like you have a SANS Masters or something similar when you have several SANS certifications, because each one of those is about 5 grand plus.
Eight
So
grand now.
8 grand. So
Inflation,
then I'd be
baby.
curious why you listed two when you have things that I would say are more specialized. I don't know what fact is. Is that forensics?
I don't
Forensics
know what
analyst?
fact is. GSEC is like a
Sec
expensive Sec
plus.
Plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
GYP or GPY, I think that's the Python one.
Gmon is monitoring. So another like foundational thing. GCIH is incident handler, so it's great for military 8701 or whatever it is.
GCFE is forensics, isn't it?
Okay, so that one's forensics. So you have forensics, intel, incident handling, and then some generic security ones. So I'm curious at the top, you listed uh, GCIH and IA. So I think you have, if you have those certs, you have heavier hitting certs than Intel, unless you're pursuing like an Intel and incident response commingled area, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth calling out, especially I'm looking through here. Let's see if you have any, like you have no, let's see, I'm looking for cybersecurity experience. So no cybersecurity experience whatsoever. So
He has
yeah,
an
and
intern role.
yeah, competitor. Oh, yeah, just this internship role. I'd be curious if this is like a legitimate intern. If it is, fantastic. I keep seeing people put internships when they're not internships.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like this one content creator, I think we've talked about him before. He has all his people putting them as
Hmm.
internships, but they're just doing stuff in a lab. It's not like a production network. And they're listing them as internships and like job experience.
Yeah, I think I got a sidetracked. Let's go back to this experience here because there's some interesting things that we can hit on.
The intern one or the one down here?
Yeah, the intern one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Another thing that I would suggest, and it might be different if you are like truly a beginner. So like in my summary, right, it says I have 15 years of experience. I didn't notice any call out to your experience lengthwise in your professional summary. So, again, if you're more junior, like you obviously have to get the experience to be able to say that you have it. So maybe that's why it's not listed. But if you do have experience, I highly suggest listing that in your summary.
Yeah, in this case, it wouldn't be super powerful. It'd be like 2 months of experience. So, but um,
Yeah.
worth calling out. Definitely worth with this amount of experience mentioning all the certifications you have for sure. I think that is like the fact that you got an internship at the Sands Internet Storm Center. That's a pretty well-known place, and then that you have all these GX certs. I think that like that itself is a really good thing I would lean on, and I'd lean into it a lot more up here personally. Um, yeah, yeah, I think you can do a better job here. One of the things I've been doing because I'm in the job market recently is that what I'll do is I have a skill that I've built and it's actually shared, and I'm working on improving it. It's in my Git repo, Infosec Wizardry. Is that I tell it to basically create a show-stopping summary so that basically you want it to catch people's eyes. If you're going to put a professional summary, make sure it speaks to the role that you're applying for. You want it to catch their attention and say, I want to interview this person. So you need to talk to the things that they're looking for as much as possible. So for you, I would really lean into, hey, you're a go-getter, right? You're crushing all these certifications. Not a lot of people do that. You got an internship. Not a lot of people are getting internships. Not only that, you got one at the Sands Internet Storm Center, very well known. So lean into the stuff that other people don't have, and it should give you a competitive advantage. And you can again use chat or Claude to make this sound a lot better, a lot more, I don't want to say professional, but you can make it sound a lot more interesting to the reader, I think.
Yeah, I think a big thing, like if you own all of those certifications, if you just said like two, four, six, seven, eight, 7 or 8 certifications, whatever it is,
Yep.
at the top, that hits way more than saying that you have GCIA, GCIH.
Yeah, you could say something like veteran with 8 GX certifications, including GCIH, GCIA, and maybe GCFE or something like that if you only wanted to call a few out. But I definitely would state that you have 8 SAN certifications. That is, what's 8 times 8? My brain's not working.
64.
$64,000 worth of certifications right there. Dang, man, dang. Whew. Yeah, I don't want to know how much all my certifications cost. You might have me beat, dude. You might have me beat. This is really cool. I will say I don't see this a lot. Really cool calling out that you're actually competing, ranked 10% top 10% nationally. Pretty cool. I would talk about more complex stuff. Like this is easy, right? Anyone can do this in 5 seconds. I would talk more about the number of challenges, the difficulty of challenges, talk more in depth about kind of what does your team lean on you for, or what are you, or what types of problems do you solve the best in here? Sean really chewed someone's resume up the other day where he's like, I wouldn't put that. That's so dumb. He was talking to me because they had said they stood up a Python web server. And he was like, they just
Oh,
did like Python attack game HTTP server. Like, why would you put that on a resume? But that's kind of like this, password cracking with Hashcat. Okay. It's 5 seconds. Um, talk more in depth about like this overall skill that you do with it. Straight password cracking is easy. I wouldn't say it's worth dedicating a bullet to, anyways.
yeah. Same for the research. If you go back up to the internal, you keep scrolling past it. So like here you're saying that you set up a honeypot, right? And then you're capturing malicious traffic. You're analyzing the traffic using Wireshark and TCP dump, and then you just kind of glide past like identify attacker behavior, validate suspicious activity, blah blah. Like there's so many cool things that you're probably capturing in those honeypots that you could easily spin out. Like um, identified a new campaign targeting this vulnerability or this package or whatever, and then you just like you find that as part of your job. You guys publish an article or whatever, and then you tag your name to the article, and then now you have like publicity, right? Because you've been part of a team that analyzed this attack or whatever it might be. And if you're not doing that, then I would say like, what's the purpose of having the honeypots? But I think you probably have better things that you can extract from just this instance here than, oh, I look at logs, right? And if you can't talk about it, you can at least like say, I don't know, like tracked um, advanced threat actors or like a geographic region or whatever, right? Like put something here other than I look at logs.
Very, very good point. If it takes you 5 or 10 seconds, maybe even 5 or 10 minutes, don't put it as a bullet. Something to keep in mind for everyone out there, resume real estate is premium. So when you put bullets on here, they got to really tell a good story. You just opening up stuff in Wireshark doesn't tell a story. It doesn't show that you've acquired a skill. And that's what you're trying to do with all these bullets is say, hey, I've acquired the skill. And this is me showing evidence that I've acquired that skill. Being able to open something isn't a skill itself, it's being able to analyze, identify specific threat actors, identify new techniques. Um, Things like that are the types of things. Maybe you have like a Git repo where you have a bunch of different filters or something. There's a like AJ said, there's a lot of stuff you can extract out of this that are going to tell a much better story than what you have here. So just take some time, think about what all did you do, you know, like and answer the question, so what, right? Analyze log and PCAP data using Wireshark and TCP dump. So what? Who cares? Tell me why I should care. And that's what you want to do here.
Yeah,
What
and
else
you
you got
have
here? You keep telling
the
me I keep scrolling too fast.
sorry. No, the bottom bullet, right? Like it says documented, reported, observed attack patterns, blah blah blah, to intelligence communities. Is that closed source? Like, where are those communities? Do you have a reference to something that you have published yourself or contributed to? That goes a long way. Like, if you look up something, if you look up ether hiding, like the article that I did 6 years ago for my friend's company, still shows up on the first page because there's not a lot about it. So you have a honeypot, you have access to all these idiots trying to do fun stuff. Like you could be sitting on literally a treasure trove of certain things. And maybe you're not. Maybe it is just script kiddies. You know, maybe you have like SSH tar pits or whatever. Um, but if it's there, publishing and getting your name out there will be so much better because people can't hire you if they don't know you.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, if you have links to that, and that's why I suggest folks doing a portfolio, and AJ's been doing a portfolio, and we've been having a portfolio battle going on for a couple of weeks here. Um, but that's the place where you can put a lot of that. People can click the links, see the type of work you've been doing. So definitely encourage it. And yeah, if you have something that has been published, put it in here. That is definitely a competitive advantage that you have that other people may not have. And that's the whole name of the game here, right? You're trying to move from, sorry if I've blew someone's eardrums out. You're trying to move from being a number on a piece of paper, like, right, being in somewhere in the middle of the stack to being at the top of the stack. And so, whatever competitive advantage you have, that's going to continuously move you up to the top as long as you can show it, as long as you have evidence and you can convey that competitive advantage. That's what you're trying to do. And not only that, this being a SOC analyst resume, you're trying to show that you're going to be easier to train higher than everyone else that's interviewing, right? You want to show I have a lot of these skills, I can do a lot of this stuff, you're going to have an easier time getting me ready to go and letting me loose on the network. So that's what you're trying to do here. Let's see, travel compliance tracking tool. That's kind of interesting. Develop Python-based tool to track date-based visa compliance rules across multiple entries and exits. That's pretty interesting. This would be any of these things I would say uh, put a link to if you have a Git repo. Any of your thoughts on any of these tools?
No, the compliance one is interesting. I do travel quite a bit, so that is good to know, especially with like the new EA visas and stuff for the UK and broader Europe. So that is
Mm.
changing. Forensic diff tool. That's more your area.
Let's see. Develop a tool to compare files and system artifacts to identify meaningful differences. I would be curious how you did that. So be specific about how you're comparing them. Are you doing a bit by bit comparison or a byte by byte comparison rather? Um, Designed to support integrity verification, change tracking, identification of subtle modifications that may indicate tampering or compromise. Again, detail how you're doing it. A lot of this stuff, especially for more experienced practitioners, the devil's in the details here. Oh, if you keep it too high a level, the people who give a shit won't be able to give a shit because they don't know enough to care. Um, because a lot of this stuff, right? You have these tools, the HR person, the hiring manager is going to be like, okay, they're a nerd, right? And then it's, as long as the rest of your stuff speaks enough to the hiring manager, they're going to, or to the HR person, they're going to pass you to the hiring manager. And the hiring manager needs to be able to read this and be like, I'm impressed. But if you keep it too high level and you're not really talking about the cool things that you're doing, they're going to be like, whatever. Kind of like how we were with some of this other stuff. So what if you just opened up shit or ran um, cracked passwords with Hash the Cat or John the Ripper? Who cares? Enables comparisons beyond basic caching by highlighting what changed where and how, supported deeper analysis of configurations, binaries, and artifacts. Again, I'd like to know how you're doing that because there's a lot of ways you could be doing it. Um, Focus on producing clear, structured output to support validation, reporting, defensible findings. I mean, that's a kind of a whatever bullet. Yeah, would love to. I would do a Git repo, link to it, have some screenshots in there so they don't have to pull down the tool and run it, just so they can see it in action. Show evidence of what these are. Like even if you didn't explain these better, which I would suggest, talk about them on the Git repo, link to the Git repo. It's going to help probably explain the story of why it's cool, why you decided to put it in here. Any other thoughts on that one?
In general, I think you can do better at bullets, like action, impact, result. You're from the military. You've obviously done APRs. Um, there's no metrics. There's no real impact from your bullets. So even on the things that you're building, I think you can draft better bullets to capture like why I should care about this, right? What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, good suggestion. And again, I go back to using AI, have it analyze your resume and have say, ask clarifying questions. How can I make this more impactful if you need assistance? Because none of us are great writers as nerds, right? We're good at our craft. And so, you have a free resume writer or a $20 a month resume writer, whatever it costs to have AI, or a free one. I think there's free version too. Um, so utilize it. It's not going to be, the world's best, but it's going to be better than you are probably in that area. So talk with it, interact with it, have it work through this with you, and then you can have a much more powerful argument of why someone should hire you. AJ loves AI too. I mean, you got me on the thing. Ask me this thing, ask me that thing, and it 100% works.
Yeah. If you're going to use I would suggest looking at which models are better at writing instead of just choosing any model.
And do you know which models are better at writing?
I think Sonnet 4.7 maybe. Gemini was good. I don't know. Look at the benchmarks or ask your AI model to look at the benchmarks. Another thing, so he's in the Discord, right? Or just a YouTube subscriber?
I think I found him on or LinkedIn, or he messaged me on LinkedIn.
Okay, you need to start making them follow you in all your platforms before you look at their stuff.
There's no way for you to check on YouTube, first of all.
Yet there is actually.
Is I thought
Yeah.
it only showed you a portion. I've never been able to 100% see who follows.
Oh yeah, I think we went through that. Anyways,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. So the reason
Make
I'm
sure to like, share, and
asking,
subscribe, and I'll review your resume.
yeah, the reason I'm asking is because we can, like in our community, right? We share stuff, and like maybe Mike and I share our resumes one day, and then you can see how we format ours. And again, it's different, right? I have a different taste than Mike does. I've been using my format for, I don't know, 10 years now, like when I first started looking to leave our last employer. So it all changes. It's all just whatever you like. But you can see how we format bullets and whatever else, and that'll be the bigger takeaway for you.
Yeah, and mine's changed significantly, probably in the last few months,
Hmm.
because I've been having it research best practices and stuff, and then research ATS platforms so that everything stays in alignment with those as well. So I've taken it a little bit further.
Yeah, mine never passed ATS. I have never applied and gotten a call anytime I've looked. I always get jobs from people that know me or that I message on LinkedIn and they're like, "Hey, let's talk." Never through ATS. So I don't know how to do that. Even if I have like a markdown version, it still doesn't work. So don't take advice from me on ATS.
I probably have like maybe close to probably between 15-20% rate of getting a callback.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one day we'll see something that I actually want to do. Yeah, fun times in the job market. So I get to experience what you're experiencing, except slightly different because I'm higher up in the in I guess the food chain, but still, I get to understand the ATS systems and figure out what works and what doesn't work, and provide recent interview tips.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
dusty.
yeah, you didn't really have to do a lot of interviews before you got this role.
Nope. Again,
Um,
people know you, they can hire you.
that's true. Yeah, AJ does a lot of networking, which is definitely a really good way to go about it. The let's see what else. The one thing I will suggest, because I don't know if it's going to mess you up, is that the order you have this in may jack up the ATS systems. And I say that because it has to figure out how to logically pull out your like the order of your roles, and you splitting up your job experience may screw up the ATS systems. What I would suggest, if you apply one where they allow you to fill out the application with your resume, if it shows up jacked up, once you do that, your resume is jacked up, and the ATS is going like, even if it's like an auto submit, it's going to an ATS system. You're just not seeing it at that point. It is getting chewed up there, and you're not going to get a call. So use the ones that allow you to autofill an application via your resume to tell you if your resume is jacked up. And if it is, fix it, reorder it, resubmit, and see if it still jacks it up. And keep doing that until it can interpret all your experience, your dates, all of that accurately. Then you know you're in a good spot and you're not automatically getting thrown in the dumpster.
Yeah, definitely didn't do that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
because
something I learned.
I have I have like the line breaks, or it's not a line break, but like the dividers, right? And
Ooh,
so like I had our last place that we worked, that shall not be named, and the various titles I've had there. So four titles, I think. And so I had like an overall date for them and then like a role date. And so now I just have like 2011, 20 or 2017 to 2026. And then like that seems easier than having the individual dates for each thing, because it would always be like, oh, is your name this, and it would be the previous employer, and I would literally just sit there and like backspace and then copy paste and like move stuff up, and I never thought to like fix it so it read accurately.
Well, it's easy now. Yeah, I like legit did it, and I designed my resume skill like that. So it even the spacing. So it even does like best practices with like spacing between lines and formatting. All that is done by pulling in like like best practices like from HR. And then I even have it like dig into the documentation of the like predominant ATS systems to make sure
Mm.
it matches the format. Like I've gone a little above and beyond with my setup, but I mean it's obviously working decently anyways.
Yeah, maybe that's what you should be doing. Forget cyber, just start doing resume building.
Yeah, it doesn't pay that as good as cyber. Sorry. I think a lot of those resume people's that will be replaced by AI pretty freaking quick, I think.
I will say, like several years ago, I paid a resume writer, and I was so pissed off because it was clearly AI. Like it was back when AI gave you 10 fingers on one hand. It was it was bad. And I even asked him, I was like, "What are you trying to say with this?" And they're like, "I don't know. What were you trying to say?" And I was like, "That's not how this works."
Dude, it's bad. I was trying to convert actually my resume skill to Claude today,
Yeah.
and it was struggling. So I have it in Codex is where my resume skill is. It works great. I actually tweaked it just slightly so my summary was killing it every time because it does the cover letter too. So it tries to figure out like put a finger on like what the biggest pain point is and like what the top items are in the job listing, and then the whole like it pulls the most relevant like bullet points and evidence and puts it into the summary and in the cover letter to kind of make it pop a little bit, and then talks about how I would be a great candidate for that role and does it really well. But Codex was just it was horrible. It was bad. Just it was just like a meh summary, meh cover letter for Claude, and Codex is like, yeah, I'd interview this guy.
Yeah, it depends on your model. That's what I was saying. Like they're trained to do different things.
I'll have to look at that because I didn't realize that. I thought it was just like you just paid more money for the higher models.
Oh no. Like yeah, there's also a meme we're just gonna derail real quick. There's a meme that someone
Fine.
posted on LinkedIn, and it's different Navy ships like shooting the guns, and so it has the different models, and it's like Claude Opus 1 million contacts, and it's like the 105 or whatever it is, just like blasting shells out because it's so expensive. So you see the tally like rolling up, and then it was like GPT 5.4 like fast, and it's just like with the price. Yeah. Okay. See, this is Jim and I telling you this. 3.5 Sonnet is old as shit. Like that is incorrect. Look up uh, LLM benchmarks.
It's okay. We're done with our show. Now we're playing, folks. But if you want to play, then join us.
LLM leaderboard. Yeah.
This one or this one?
Whatever.
Okay.
Scroll down. There should be there should be like an actual chart. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we are looking for. Does it have writing? This might not be it. There should be a leaderboard that shows like code development, maths, writing, or creation, and all that stuff. It really breaks it down by yeah. There you go.
High school math. Best in visual, multilingual.
So this is important because this also carries over to like I work at an AI startup, right? Where our product is based on AI. Now, you would think, oh, you just use the latest and greatest frontier model, or um, like get a model, train it yourself, and then you're fine. Well, then you run into like not every customer is going to allow your models. And so you have to like tailor to the different industry standards, right?
Hmm.
And so like it's funny because we use a harness that is not what our agent is based off of, but that's the harness that we all like to work out of.
Interesting, dude. Yeah, I haven't gotten into using them too differently. Like the only time I would say it does is if I do like sub agent work and then it'll split it out and use smaller agents. Well, it
Yeah.
depends. If it's doing like a full analysis or something like that, it may use a higher model to do it, like if it's trying to debug or something like that. But I don't go in there and specifically it auto detects what model it's supposed to use and then spins out a subagent for it. So I'm not as cool as you. I don't see any of these benchmarks. Let's see, 11 benchmarks writing. Let's see. Creative writing? Sure. Opus 4.7. View slot profile. ELO score. So I'm guessing the higher ELO score, the better. So 4.7 and GPT 5.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's like the newest model right now. What is mine on? 4.7. Okay.
The more you know.
Marina. Cool. Well, all right. I think that is it for the show. So
Don't like this.
yeah, dude. Thanks for sending the resume over, Daryl. Hopefully that was helpful. I would definitely suggest joining the community. You can throw your corrections into our resume channel. You can get AJ's feedback again and my feedback and whoever else is in there. Help you to keep coaxing you on. Yeah, we got quite a few fellow vets in there as well. So you are among friendly faces, my friend. Anything you want to say, AJ? Because you're back on camera for the first time in like a month. How's that feel?
Dude, it feels good since I'm not acting anymore. But yeah, thanks for being vulnerable, sending your resume in. Mike is doing a lot of these things and trying to add value to the community. So recommend you check it out. I am too busy to contribute stuff unless I'm at the gym. So don't expect to see me there. But if you send me specific questions or whatever, had a guy on LinkedIn asking me some questions today, trying to transition. So we're we're trying to help out, but we need your feedback so we can provide more value to you and help you get where you want to go.
It's key. It's community. We are, we've been in this business for a while, so sometimes, we don't know exactly what you need. We know what we think you need, um, but you're the one experiencing life firsthand. So let us know how we can help. So definitely a really, really good suggestion. Don't be afraid. It may feel weird reaching out at first, but if you're struggling or if you need something, that's kind of the cool thing about the community is people are willing to help. So take advantage of it. Don't sit there in your little shell and suffer in silence, I would say.
Yeah, I
But,
want you to do a roast on my resume sometime.
okay.
Yeah,
If it says you're really good at coding, I'm gonna roast that shit.
that's actually the first sentence of my summary.
I can write 10,000 lines of code,
5 word.
and only 100 of them are any good. The rest are comments.
Hey man, it's fine. It works.
No, dude, you get better than me for a while, like being technical. I went the dang leadership route and lost my edge for a bit. That's okay. I'm back at it, man. Full swing, building all kind of stuff.
Yeah, but now I'm super niche down, so it's like you'll expand in more areas, and I will be laser focused in like one area.
We'll see. We'll see what the next gig is. Who knows? Who knows? But cool. All right, man. We'll get back to whatever you're doing in your off hours now that you're not
Pushing
working.
code.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll touch base, figure out what our next podcast episode would be, and do some filming again.
Cool.
Cool, man. All right,
Thanks for
everyone.
having me on.
Take care. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, AJ. We'll see you around. See you in the Discord channel the rest of this week. Until next Thursday, everyone. See ya.